Welcome to This Magical Life, where we explore Druidry, mindfulness, and the magic of living. I'm your host, Philip Carr-Gomm. Hello everyone, welcome to a special episode of This Magical Life, a podcast brought to you by myself, Philip Carr-Gomm, and today my very special guest, Salva Lopez, who comes from
Peru.
From Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And we've only met today through some nice experiences. We've managed to come together.
Yes.
And we've decided to make this recording. So you're very welcome, not only in our home, Eda, but also on these lands, on these magical lands of Britain. And tell me why you're here.
First of all, thank you so much for your warm welcoming, which is a wonderful, special time for me, especially coming from the Amazon jungle, quite far away from here, crossing the oceans and different continents. And thank you for this wonderful time together at your beautiful place. Probably you are the right answer to my questions that came through all my visions in the last 3-4 months before I decided to do this journey, coming to your all wisdom, to meet you, to meet your spiritual beings, to meet your magical sense of life related to this earth, the Great Britain, which is a very amazing experience to me, especially, being a medicine woman who already works with plant medicine, sacred plant medicines. And so suddenly I had these incredible visions of whispering in my ears this sort of very ancient and magical song that I couldn't distinguish among my sacred sons and my indigenous tribe sons, that when we run medicine all together. And then suddenly another time with my visions again, sitting with my plant medicine, just showing me all of this, the magnificence of all kind of different landscape surrounding me, and a cold forest, a different
cool
forest.
Yeah. Ed was called to a cool forest, but
yeah.
you come from a cloud forest region.
A cloud forest,
yeah.
But it's always hot.
It's always hot. It's about an hour's flight out of Lima north.
Yes.
And then out of the town in the hills.
Yes.
And is it very high up?
No, it's about where we stay at my brother's place, who also runs a shamanic healing center. It's about 500 above
500 above sea level.
Yeah.
And when you say, I'm sure listeners and viewers would be interested in when you say you are a medicine woman, what does that mean?
A woman who carries ancient knowledge.
And how have you come by this ancient knowledge?
Oh, I would say through my DNA, firsthand, and then through all of these incredible encounters that I already had with elders around the Amazon jungle.
And your grandmother passed on her knowledge.
Yes.
She worked with plant medicine.
Yes, she did.
And she handed that knowledge on to her daughter, your mother.
Yes.
Who handed it on to you.
Yes.
And what do you mean by plant medicine?
Ingesting active medicinal plants, which also contains this sort of high activity into your brain that conducts you to another sense of understanding and another level of knowledge, and bring all of this universal knowledge to you. And through the chemistry of these medicinal plants that elders combine and mix long, long time ago, we could sense the effect of these psychoactive
Let me tell because
plants.
let me ask you about you first. So we're talking about ayahuasca, chacruna,
Chacruna, yes,
chacruna, and other plants that are taken that aren't necessarily psychoactive but support the whole sort of these.
effect. Yes.
And at what age did you first take ayahuasca?
At the age of 26,
26.
yes.
And was it your mother who gave you the medicine?
No, actually, she is part of the elders' lineage of healers, but also she runs this other sort of wisdom related to dreams.
To dream wisdom.
And we call them soñadoras, dreamers. And so she receives the information through her dreams and brings up to us and saying, oh, this probably will happen with one of us, or maybe in your community, or with some members of the family, who introduced me to the plants, not the main ones like ayahuasca medicine, but the other beautiful plants also, was my grandmother. But those plants were more gentle.
They were more gentle, they were more medicinal plants.
Yes.
So your grandmother didn't take ayahuasca
No,
herself?
she didn't.
And your mother didn't take it?
She didn't.
No. So
She
you,
doesn't.
No. So you took ayahuasca with another... Was it
Elders.
another culture or within your own culture? And was it with your tribe or another tribe?
Different tribes.
A different tribe. Yeah.
Different tribes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly from the Amazon jungle. Yeah.
Okay.
And not my first lineage of Ashaninka tribe. I did later, but coming up to the north and be part of these projects related to conservancy and cloud forests, I had this tremendous opportunity to meet elders from an old town that is also very famous because there were plenty of medicine people out there.
Right.
So I went there to work and then meet elders, and finally some of them took me to this sort of deep exploration, which I did with ayahuasca medicine first time.
And this is when you trained as an anthropologist.
Yes.
And then by then you'd left university and you were in the field, and that's where you experienced. Yes. And
Yes.
how would you say, we had a very interesting conversation before we started filming here about some of perhaps the problems of Western culture being attracted to ayahuasca and to plant medicine. And without being judgmental or overly negative, nevertheless, one has to accept that there are problems. There's problems of what you might call spiritual tourism, where people are coming to get high and to have... What's the impact? What do you see as the impact of let's call it the West? It's an unclumsy term, but people know what we mean by that. The West's sort of interest in psychoactive plants. What's been the impact of that in your culture and the people around you and where you live?
Yeah.
And Peru.
Yeah, at least in Peru it's a quite interesting time, but also difficult time, because I am not saying necessarily that all Westerners who come to meet the plants, especially the strong ones like ayahuasca medicine, they are trying to get high. That is their only purpose, or to get high. No, I'm not saying that, but generally speaking, in the last, I would say, 10 years, it reproduced some sort of running big business in the name of indigenous spirituality, and they bring many Westerners around of their actual shamanic centers running by themselves, and they hire indigenous elders or in young shamans who run ceremonies in those places, which is okay. So if everybody wants to get close to their spirituality, it's totally fine. But the thing is, I believe that we need to be careful about the consequences of our actions. Because if we, coming from Western and modern societies, really trigger in themselves this sort of deep calling to work with plant medicine, it's totally fine. But the thing is, what could be the purpose, the main purpose of them to use plant medicine as well and put outside on the market to offer thousands of people around the globe that, oh, this would be an amazing magical experience, and come and we sit with 20 people or maybe 30 people and running all night long with Shipibo elders or shamans, for example, or other mixed indigenous, we call mestizos, from different parts of the jungle, of the Peruvian jungle. First of all, sitting with 20 people in a room, taking this strong and powerful medicinal plant, who the main purpose was healing people, healing your illness, cure your soul, cure your emotional disorder. Why could be the main reason that you decide to sit 20 people in one room and pretending to cure all of them in just a few days, running with ayahuasca ceremonies? No.
No. You were saying, so how would it be traditionally used? How would it be?
Traditionally we use plant medicine related to the clan, related to the community, where the shaman or the family of this shamanic clan was organizing and holding the space where the member of one of these clans who already live in the same community got sick or have some illness or some weird energy running through any issue around the family. So
It's very specific.
Very specific.
A member of the clan or
Yes.
tribe and the family is physically unwell or perhaps emotionally unwell or
Yes.
feeling unstable, and they ingest the medicine.
with the medicine.
So it's not 30 strangers in a circle.
No, and some of the members of his or her family will be there to hold the space, to support them and be aware that what is going on and just be there. And a few of them, we took just a few of us, and
Just a few of you.
and then of course the medicine man or the medicine woman will work on you, because the two of us, we ingest the medicine
Yes.
and go through all of these sort of
The two of us, you mean,
the medicine person are
and the client
and the member of the clan who
clan,
is already sick, etc.
Yes.
So we both navigate in this sort of high consciousness
Yeah.
that medicinal plant bring the information down to you
Yes.
and solve what is going on in your physical body, in your emotional body, or the spiritual body. So it's just having a particular, precise information of this patient.
Yes. So going on an ayahuasca retreat, for instance, with 30 people, 20 people, would you recommend, would you say don't do it? Or would you say just be careful? or what would you advise? Imagine somebody's listening to this who is a curious person in their 30s or 40s. They are keen on exploring other levels of consciousness. Maybe they have some psychological issues they'd like to sort out. How many of us have a life free of any kind of anxieties and difficulties? So there's a healing component in their quest, but there's also a strong component of curiosity and of a kind of the adventurer, which I think is natural in young people. And that if one of them said to you, I've heard that for only X $100 or $1,000 I can go out to this and do, what would you advise them?
First of all, I would say you are very welcome to come to sit with us. And the two of us or the three of us, we need to be clear what is your main purpose to sit with us, for what main reason you want to experience plant medicine. It's just like a recreation. It is just like a new adventure, an experience like in the 60s people did with LSD. And now, because this is more natural and fun to take active medicinal plants, some of the scientists name them like psychedelic.
Yeah.
Which makes me, I'm so sorry, but makes me smile. And
If they say that, if they said that to you, yes, I just want it for recreation. I want fun. I want altered states of consciousness. I'm interested in this.
yeah, I would say thank you for reaching me out and trying to navigate with you, at certain point, but
That's not...
that is not the traditional way that we practice plant medicine. It's just when we need
when
to
you need
cure.
it. Do you think it should be offered to people from outside the clan or outside the culture? Maybe it needs to stay within, or do you think it's okay for somebody, if somebody said to you, no, my main intention is because I'm unwell, I've got a particular kind of illness, or I'm
Of course.
suffering in some way,
Yes.
but they're from another country. Do you think it's okay for them to do it?
Of course.
Yeah.
But also, it's very important to be careful, the two of us, because it doesn't necessarily mean that your experience with plant medicine like ayahuasca would be nice and safe. It depends of your background.
Yes.
It depends of your capacity to absorb the chemistry of plant medicine together, and very strong particular medicine. And also very important to notice if you already have some sort of mental disorder or some psychiatric or a deep emotional issue that you are not able to support the whole experience. So it is very important to make sure what is your medical background.
Yes, so that would be in sort of modern terminology, health screening.
To keep you safe,
Yes.
like I do too, because if we have this main component of healing others and help people to feel better, this is a tremendous responsibility that we take, we assume, and we face in order to help you to heal, to cure your main emotional or physical issue. If you are particularly interested and also ready to experience those level of spiritual, mental, and emotional understanding, we welcome you. You are very, very welcoming, and because you already have this clarity into your mind that you want to take this experience because this is the main reason. So I'm not saying that because you are from England or from France, you won't.
No, so you don't believe it's confined just to people from your region?
It is very important, Pat, excuse me the interruption. it is very important to have the context.
The context. The
You know,
context is everything, isn't it, really? Yes, yeah, it's so important. But are there particular kinds of illness
yes.
that are more, that ayahuasca would be more successful for? Are there particular kinds of physical or mental illnesses that it's more effective with?
Yes. Yes. Some of the researchers from United States and Europe already came to visit shamans and elders around the Amazon jungle to do their own investigation and compare with this scientific approach of which particular proper medicinal property of this plant work better in this type of illness,
Yeah.
or coming from this psychotherapy alternative ways of helping people to improve their emotional condition. It would be a very interesting approach, because we already have together, we have to contend this knowledge and approach to the whole world in a way that it will be helpful instead dangerous.
Yes. And the dangers are presumably psychological and physical. What are the physical dangers of taking ayahuasca? Can some people be allergic to it or have some kind of negative physical reactions that can be serious?
Not really serious, but it can be some physical reactions, but mostly is emotional.
Emotional reaction.
Yeah, emotional reactions. Some people that who already took the medicine several times, and we were passing with this sort of making decisions or working in these very old sad memories or trauma when they were young. So after the experience with a real sitting with plant medicine, no recreational, if not really healing and deep healing, suddenly when they go back home, they have a sort of deep sadness, a huge melancholy, you say in English?
Yeah.
And for some reason start to feel depressed most of the time. Say, "Oh, Ada, I cannot understand what is going on with my mind, with my heart. It's just nothing satisfies me. Nothing is just to be there and join people and content myself." Some effects
Some
could
effects.
be confrontational and also depleted yourself.
Depleting, yes. So
Yeah.
it's very serious. It's something not to be taken lightly.
No.
And I suppose one of those, you were talking about the melancholy and and the
Yeah.
feeling of sadness, the fact that they drop briefly into a context of support in the way that we as human beings for thousands of years have had, in a kind of tribal context, a family context, where there are people around to support you and you're close to nature.
Yes.
And all that. And then you return, you have a kind of glimpse of that. And then you return to the more atomized, separative kind of life in the sort of urban world and so on. And so that's not surprising. That's not surprising. And you were saying earlier how...
But we need to pay attention of that.
Yes.
As a medicine people, too.
Well, exactly, that you're not actually causing people more distress
No.
by giving them glimpses.
Oh, please.
Yes.
It's too much out there. So
Yeah.
we need to hold them and really support them.
What's emerged in the work with psilocybin in the last few years, working in clinical settings, is that people really need support. And you can't just expect people to be cured of their depression or their PTSD, their anxiety, by taking psychoactive medicines without also having some support.
Exactly.
Psychotherapy,
Yes.
but also, creating kind of communities around people so they can support each other, and there's a sense of... And I hear you saying the same thing for ayahuasca, because I've seen advertised retreats in Ecuador, for instance, where there are 3 swimming pools, and you can go and you can have 6 ceremonies over 10 days.
Oh,
you can
please.
fly in and fly out again.
Yes. My goodness, it would be crazy. It's just
It's crazy,
no.
isn't it?
It's. I would say, with all my respect,
Mm.
insane.
Yeah.
So, what is the purpose of many people around the globe to take and having fun
Excitement,
or
fun, new horizons, adventure.
but we have plenty in this kind of modern world. You have plenty of opportunities to take any of those pills or liquids or whatever you name them
Yes.
to get in this sort of excitement.
Mm.
So medicinal plants are quite sacred. We already have this content where we honor the sacredness of medicinal plants, where we know my grandmother, it's just thousands of years ago, where the medicine people already set up all of these rituals around where they honor medicinal plants, where we already discovered the way that we can sit gentle and offering the medicine and we ingest in and then create this sort of also sacred dynamic between the two of the three of us and holding the whole time, not only one night, not only in three ceremonies, it's just the clan of medicine people will hold the whole time until this person, a woman or a man, will feel better, and again go out and hunting or fishing or and take care of their own family.
So what you're describing, what I hear, is another level of context. You've got this first context you describe is you can't just take it as a one-off for recreation or adventure. It has to be intentional with a specific purpose, and then it also needs to take place within the context of the clan,
Yes.
the supportive facilitators, people who are supporting you. And then there's a wider context, which is the spiritual context that holds that, which is a sense of reverence and connection with lineage as well, and
Yes.
ancestry, and the
Correct.
fact that these plants have been used for thousands of
Thousands
years
of years. Yes.
in the yeah.
So it is very important again to put every single part of these ceremonial plans in a real and in the right context.
Also, the context of other plants.
Also, the context of the other plants.
You're not just recommending taking ayahuasca in certain situations. You're saying no because tell us about how it fits into the other plants.
We also have this very old tradition where we don't necessarily invite people to ingest just ayahuasca or chacruna or toe, the main sacred plants, the psychoactive master plants.
Yeah. So there's three:
also,
chacruna,
toe,
yeah,
and ayahuasca.
Yeah.
We have plenty of plants where we ingest in a way that we call them like beings, magical beings, who already carry your spirit and take care of you. So all of them, the other plants, have a particular role and they play in a way that the medicine man or medicine woman will select for you according to your illness or your emotional approach.
yes.
Or your mental kind of depression or something.
They will do a diagnosis.
Yes,
They'll spend some time with you and get a feel for who you are.
We do. Before we decide to say, okay, Patrick, this is a medicine that you need, it's just we sit together, we ingest the sacred plants, and we receive the information through them. Because there are chacruna, ayahuasca, sometimes chacruna, toe, sometimes chacruna, ayahuasca, and tobacco medicine, which is another sacred plant. And so the spirits that talk to us as a medicine people, they would say, oh, let's see, Ada, what is going on with the heart of Patrick? Maybe he needs something to reinforce their principles, the main veins that support his
Yeah, the
heart.
arteries, yeah.
Yeah, the arteries.
Yes.
So maybe we need to create a particular component with this specific medicinal plant to reinforce his arteries in order to keep his heart safe.
Mm-hmm.
Besides your ceremonies with sacred plants.
So you would be taking the psychoactive plant in order to receive this information.
Yes.
And
we do.
meanwhile, has Patrick taken anything? Is he?
No, he already took the sacred plant.
He's already taken it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but he doesn't necessarily receive.
So and you would be with him.
Yes.
And then you would receive that information.
Yeah, the information.
After the trip has finished, you would say, during the trip, I received this information.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly, beautifully, because then Patrick can go to the medical doctor and just ask for his heart. So it will be totally fine. So there are other powerful and beautiful medicinal plants that fit in your healing journey. And it will create a sort of symphony and a beautiful composition of you really getting more healthy and more balance and with equilibrium into yourself.
So what would you advise a person who actually isn't ill? They're feeling pretty healthy, but who is attracted? Would you advise them to simply not go that route? Simply not. They don't need the plants, so they don't need. What would you say to somebody like that?
Not necessarily. I would say that because there are plenty of actual circumstances that in the whole world is going on. So we welcome young people in their 30s or after they finish the college or university, or even young people who already run business or companies or be a medical doctor and running in and working in the hospital. And they sense some sort of emptiness and sadness inside of them, men or women, and they don't necessarily get into the right information to go through and review and reflecting much more clear. So they go through website or just a friend of his friend. They recommend him to come and just email us, for example, and say, hey, Eda, I feel this lack of inspiration. I feel this lack of not satisfaction at all. May I go down to Peru and visiting you in the Amazon jungle and sit with your plant medicine? Of course. You are looking for something that it makes sense to you, that it reveals to you a way of being a little more happy, a little more content, a little more grounded, and probably confronting these deep fears or deep sadness or some sort of lack of not feeling in love anymore. So why not to welcome them and sit together and say, okay, darling, okay, dear friend, so this is going on into your mind. It's just we will receive the right information to help you in a way that you will feel more open, more clear.
Yes. So
to go through your life.
Yes. So you're saying, from what I understand, you're saying you don't have to be suffering from a specific illness or a specific psychological problem. You can be a sort of typical example of what's it called, existential anomie, I think it's sometimes called, where you're just feeling that sense of lack of direction and purpose and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the context of the other plants. And we're not just talking about one plant, we're talking about a family of plants
Yes.
or an
Yes.
ecosystem of plants, and
Yes.
different ones for different people and
Yes.
so on.
Yes.
And we've talked about the clan, the medicine people, and so on. And then the wider context of the spiritual dimension to it, treating it. And then there's another context of the work you're doing with Indigenous people and conservation. And tell us about these projects that you're working with.
Oh, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
In order to be in gratitude to my ancestors and my elders, my teachers, my grandmama and my mama, it's just I decided to be in service with my own people. As I am an educated Indigenous woman, I would love to bring this access to formal education to Indigenous children and be proud of themselves and hold this incredible wisdom of our ancestors and just go through these modern times and receive all of these new skills from the intellectual approach, but at the same time, very good and walking with dignity with this very ancient wisdom. Also, because only a few people around the world is aware of what is going on with the Amazon jungle and the destruction of the rainforest Amazon, including the ecosystem of medicinal plants, because there is a lot of, I want more. So they are not quite aware of what is going on with the ayahuasca medicine, for example.
So would you just to focus in on that, because I've heard people saying that one of the problems with Western people's interest in ayahuasca is that the plant is the stocks are being depleted, that there's a risk. Is it an endangered species now? Is the ayahuasca vine being overexploited?
Already it does.
Already?
In some areas, there is no more.
There's no more?
In the wild ecosystem condition where they grow. No, because Indigenous people, especially young Indigenous men, go there and cut all the main
vines.
The main vines.
And then sell them in the market.
And no more babies ayahuasca around to protect the ecosystem. So next, in the coming 20 years ahead, no more plant medicine.
Really?
No.
That's extremely serious.
Because all over the world, the demand is overwhelmed.
Say that again? All over the world?
All over the world, the demand is
overwhelming.
Plant medicine is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
That's a good reason not to buy ayahuasca
On internet, for example.
On the internet.
Because we don't know.
Yes.
From where comes this gentle plant, powerful, medicinal, sacred plant. Also, under what conditions?
It's been grown. Do people mix it with other kind of drugs in order to make more of it? You know, the classic problem in the drug world of people cutting it with other things in order to make more money.
Probably.
Who knows? Yeah.
All kind of distortion around.
Yeah. If there's any mischief people can get up to, they will get up to it, of course.
Yes.
So this is serious. I mean, so that you think there's a very real risk that in 20 years it won't exist?
Potentially.
Potentially. That potential is there. So how can we...
Because everywhere in the Amazon, I work with community conservation, training my Indigenous leaders to keep alive the pristine rainforest, the pristine woods, but also, for example, drug trafficking is already there.
Yeah.
So they don't care about cutting all the trees, including ayahuasca, including this wonderful plant medicine, which is a tree.
Yeah.
They don't. So plus all of this demand of medicinal plants with powerful psychoactive properties.
Yeah.
So the thing is that the wild natural ecosystem of this particular family of medicinal plants don't grow naturally anymore, because most of the time local people cut everything.
Are cutting everything. So are some people cultivating it artificially?
Some we do, some elders, some medicine people, including my brother and myself, we do.
Yes.
We plant already,
And look after and protect the
yes,
what you've planted.
yes, yes. So it is very important to pay attention about that. And also, if you, I can respect your perspective. If you already make good money with all of this sort of psychedelic experience, okay. But at least bring back some nice retribution to the elders, to their communities, and pay attention about the conditions of the children, the conditions of the fresh water.
These are projects you're involved in, aren't
Yes.
you, of helping in education locally and so on.
Yes, and conservation.
And conservation
Yes.
as well. It's all part of this kind of ecosystem of human community
Exactly.
living on the land, but not exploiting the land and giving back to each other
Yes,
and to the plant world. And
yes.
yes, and I suppose it's all we can do, really, isn't it, as human beings, is try to create good projects and good relations with people, to make islands of goodness, so that you can grow the plants and take care of them. And we were talking earlier too about how one of the problems as well is I guess the drift towards the cities, where the young people, indigenous young people, who aren't interested in carrying on the kind of oral spiritual traditions.
Yes.
Because they want to be in town, having fun, and on their mobile phones. And,
Yes.
how do you think one can help to preserve indigenous traditions?
Good question. Okay, my hope is that if the future generations are quite aware of, especially related to indigenous people, future generations in general, but particularly speaking about this issue of losing our beautiful knowledge, I would say that we need to make sure that these beautiful young generations are proud of themselves, are proud of being Indians, are proud
And
of
not wanting to be America.
You can wear jeans and having these fancy cell phones and maybe some color in your hair.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But feeling proud of yourself, as for example I do, it's just, I don't need to pretend anything.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But feeling this deep love and carry my ancestry with majesty and humbleness, and at the same time clever of how important it is to keep our integrity and dignity alive, to walk in this sort of different worlds. And otherwise, if they don't have tools and skills and love enough to feel proud of themselves, of being indigenous, probably these wild ecosystems of the families of medicinal plants will disappear soon. And it is sad. It's really sad. And
Yes.
it's not a shame, but it is really sad, because who will teach you? Who will pass the information?
You're trying to do that.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my
You're
best.
trying to do your best, and you're going to try and write a book.
Yes.
And you've got somebody's helped you to make a website.
Yes, a lovely dear friend,
Yeah.
CJ from New York. She's a lovely, a wonderful human being. And I believe, this is my hope, that there are thousands of people who really,
Are good-hearted.
good heart, and also who really care about Mother Earth,
Yeah.
who really care about all of these beautiful beings around, trees, animals, birds, plants,
Yeah.
and other humans, of course. So we navigate in these sort of weird times, but at the same time, very inspirational for me, for example, to cross all over to be in the other continent, and your beautiful country and your lovely home is just an amazing and a magical experience in the modern times.
Yes, I'm so glad. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Eda.
thanks
That's
to
an absolute pleasure
you.
talking to you.
Oh yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you everybody for listening to us, and see you next time. Okay.
See you in the jungle.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all for this episode of This Magical Life. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and share with friends.